Welcome to the Unwashed Asses, episode 57, recorded Friday, October 19th, 2018. Oh, we get closer and closer to the spooky goodness that October holds. We peel back the layers of this onion until we reach the... Is there even a point in the core of an onion? You're more interested in the layers, and I don't know if that's a good analogy for Halloween. Either way, we're getting closer. As such, games themselves have started ramping out their Halloween festivities, and it is my favorite time of the year. Nothing makes me feel more in the Halloween spirit, as it were, than games themselves putting on Halloween events. Probably the biggest, used to be, I guess now, maybe still the biggest, World of Warcraft. WoW has always rolled out an exquisite Halloween celebration where they have all of, the game decorated with little pumpkins and candles and skeletons, and the innkeepers have buckets of candy, and you can wear paper masks of different races, and I guess it's the only time blackface or greenface in Azeroth is totally acceptable. And it's a good time overall. I dig it. Now, it just kicked off yesterday, so the 18th. And I had completed the Halloween achievements many years ago on, I guess it was my Paladin, my latest Paladin. So I don't have much incentive to redo the Halloween achievements. However, Blizzard, being the crafty fucks they are, said, oh, no. We've got little black cats with green glowy eyes that wear witch hats. We know you want that for a pet, and you're going to have to grind out every day to get it. And we have a Hearthstone effect. About time they started doing something with the teleportation effects in the game. I don't know, it only makes too much sense, and I say that now, but when I think of other games like Smite, where you have essentially the recall, where it teleports you back to home base, you could get different effects for that. It only makes sense that you would have something similar in WoW, and this time they have the Headless Horseman, where there's a little ring of fire that surrounds you, and you cackle like a madman, and hearth back to wherever you are. I have to get this. I have to make it mine. It needs to happen. Needs to happen, and I get the little black kitty with the witch hat, and I'm going to name him Misfit. But beyond that, I'm disturbed by the lack of Halloween spirit that WoW is putting forth. Now, maybe you ask yourself, why? You just gave it such high praise. What happened in that low span of 5 seconds there? This is something that Blizzard has been coming under attack for since the release of Battle for Azeroth, and the honeymoon phase has since worn off, where it's a lack of attention to detail. We're not seeing that traditional Blizzard polish, and that's not what I'm going to get into here, because I don't have the facts in front of me, and I don't want to waste your time by pulling up, Reddit and forum posts and this, that, the other thing. As a whole, I am thoroughly enjoying Battle for Azeroth. Legion got me back into WoW with a renewed vigor. The looking for raid system was fantastic. It made me feel like I was getting that endgame progression without having the endgame progression bullshit of I need to work a second job, i.e. play WoW for 30 hours a week just to keep up with the meta and, have rotations and deal with clan applications and all that nonsense. So this is the first year in many where I'm actually around for the Halloween event. Traditionally, when WoW releases an expansion, it's around August, September, and I'll hit it hard as a motherfucker for a month or two. Just nothing else. I don't play anything but World of Warcraft. So by the time October rolls around and the Hallow's End event just so happens to grace us, I'm not playing anymore. I don't have an interest to play. A game that I love dearly and a holiday that I love more than anything else. The combination of the Reese's peanut butter and chocolate, it's not enough to pull me back in, except this year I'm in. And Blizzard, you disappoint me. Not only are there not that many new activities to do, congrats, you've given me things to grind for, but that's not a new activity. It's not super fun. I don't like grinding in my games, and that's a big problem I have with games right now, is I'm in a grind. And you just hold on, Destiny 2, we're getting to you next. But to my original point, Blizzard has not decorated the new area, the new zones, Borealis and Tiergard Sound and motherfucking Drustvar, Halloween capital of all Azeroth. Not a single jack-o'-lantern to be found. Not a single spooky trick-or-treat bucket in any inn. It makes no sense. And then I think back to all the posts I've seen on Reddit where there's no polish and they don't love shamans and shadow priests. And when I go and I see, I think this is the first I've ever noticed new content not decorated for the holidays. It does scream out like, there's no polish here. They don't care. And it hurts. Now, I might be biased because Halloween is my favorite holiday, and Hallow's End has always been fun and wow, but it ties in a cohesiveness in the world. It creates a sense of, oh yeah, this is all one planet. This is all the same people, even though we've not, gotten to this continent like Pandaria or Northrend. I could be wrong here, but I'm going to say, no, there is. Yes, because I still have to do the achievement. There's Halloween decorations everywhere. In the place that wouldn't make any sense at all with Pandaria, we have it. And in a continent like Coltiris, which is strongly human population, we should be seeing these Halloween decorations. And they're not there, and I cry foul. But nonetheless, I am going to proceed to do the daily grind. And that leads into my other problem. Destiny 2. Destiny 2, when it launched last year, launched in September, just before we would have had Festival of the Lost. Now, Festival of the Lost is Destiny's equivalent of Halloween, where it's not so much about, yeah, you do dress up. There was candy in Destiny 1. There's no candy in Destiny 2. There's no trick-or-treating in Destiny 2. Anywho, Festival of the Lost is more about remembrance of the dead. So it's closer to a Dia de los Muertos than actual Halloween. Although that is playing more strongly in the second game than in the first. In the first game, it was all kinds of spooky goodness. You get a mask, you go to your favorite vendors and prominent figures in Destiny, they give you candy. You even got some Ascendant raisins and celery from Eris Morn, the super hot goth chick who just hates holidays. Don't know why she hates Festival of the Lost, though. You steal Sweeperbot's broom, you go ride it around. Oh, so much fun. You buy emotes from Tess and Eververse, and back then you knew what you were getting, and I had the super fantastic Terrify emote where my guardian would levitate off the ground, their head would spin around, and it was all good. But now Destiny 2 rolls around. The first year they skip it. They say, it's not fair, we're not ready. We can't do Festival of the Lost just after launching the game. You're going to have to wait until next year. Well, next year has come. We have been waiting with bated breath, hoping that we get back to the true spooky goodness that is Festival of the Lost. And much like WoW, I'm a little disappointed. Now, things have changed in the world of Destiny. Sure, we're back at the tower, but we're not back at the tower proper. Gary the Space Rhino has seen to that. It's been destroyed. It's no longer there. Well, it is. It's held up by some big cables, and there's not really any progress being made. We're on another level of the wall. And Our Lady who decided to bless us with holidays, Eva Levante, has gone missing. There's a little bit of a scannable item that says, since the fall, not much has been seen of her. She was helping refugees, and that was the last we saw. However, holidays have come. She's nowhere to be found. Many Guardians hoped that Miss Levante would come back and imbue us with the holiday spirit. Instead, holidays pass over to Miss Holiday. Amanda Holiday, our shipwright, purveyor of sparrows and spaceships aplenty, with no real purpose since the game launched, aside from giving you base model ships and your sparrow. She sat there, useless. But with the death of our good friend Cade 6, we find his cloak hanging in her hanger. His cloak's hanging in her hanger. But now she has taken up the mantle of festivities, at least for Festival of the Lost. And it makes sense that Amanda Holiday would become the holiday vendor. Amanda's got a quest for us. We have to go into the Vex computer simulation. We have to go through the Haunted Forest. Now, the Haunted Forest is essentially a 15-minute run through an ever-changing dungeon. The further you get down into the dungeon, the harder it gets, but the more reward there is. Now, for comparison's sake, I'd say it equates very nicely to a Greater Rift in Diablo 3. You don't get loot as you go through the dungeon, aside from a stray chest, but those are super rare. You don't see any active upgrades, you just gotta chug through it, get through it as quick as you can, get out, and then that's when you get your goodies. But the goodies are usually cumulative to something bigger. And that's what we have here with Destiny 2's Haunted Forest. They took the Infinite Forest from Mercury, an activity I hated with a great passion. While it is gorgeous to look at, it is boring as all get out, because it usually consists of 5 to 10 randomly generated levels before you get to the meat of whatever mission you're currently on. It's filler content. Now, the way they've implemented it for Festival of the Lost is... Gotta take me a drink here. I'm a little thirsty. You and 3 Guardians go in. Halloween masks have since changed, where before you would get the Halloween mask and you'd have to find some glue or adhesive, and that would make it a year-round thing. Masks are still year-round, however, their effectiveness is really put to the test during Festival of the Lost. There are 3 paths that you can upgrade your mask through. They have different effects, like I deal more damage against all enemies, I deal more damage against strong enemies, or I deal more damage against bosses. So in theory, you need at least 3 of the 9 masks to get 1 achievement for the holidays. You and a team of 3 enter the Haunted Forest. Now, the Haunted Forest I have issue with because when they initially described it, I thought we were going back to the European Dead Zone, where the Shard of the Traveler was, where it is a legit haunted forest. There are ghosts going about. It is spooky. It is dark. It is the perfect setting. Instead, we turn out the lights in the Infinite Forest. We exchange the blue lightning for some red, and force Guardians to run through with flashlights. Now, for what it is, it's not bad, but there was something already better existing in the game as far as terms and setting. The goal, again, is to go as deep as you can into the forest. The way you do that is twofold. You can run through each segment of the Infinite Forest, open up the next section, and keep going. Or you can kill enough enemies to hit the 100% marker, at which point you will be teleported to a boss room, and then that leads to the next level. Each level you progress adds on a new modifier like Blackout or Glass, or any of the modifiers you're familiar with the old Heroic Strikes or Nightfalls. Now, the typical level, as far as when you go deeper and deeper down, best I've done is 9. I've heard tell of some fire teams making it to 13 or 14, which doesn't make sense to me. And at the end of it, you get 1 soul token per level you completed. Now, these soul tokens are what make the holiday. This is what gives you your grind, much like WoW has. Unlike WoW, though, there is a substantial reward in Destiny 2, the Horror Story Assault Rifle. Now, Horror Story, aside from just having a sweet, sweet name, because, Horror of Casitas, it will become the official gun for the clan. So any members out there, please get to grinding on it. I'm working on it myself. We need to show unity. Assault rifles, not everybody's cup of tea. They're my personal favorite, aside from Cade's hand cannon. But before we get too sidetracked, the big perk to this gun, aside from looking super slick and being really just an improved version of Origin Story, it comes at 600 power level. Now, for those not in the know, 600 is the current cap in the game, the hard cap. You hit the soft cap pretty easy of 500. But 600, you got to work for weeks and months to get to that. So when Bungie decided we're going to give everyone a 600 power level weapon for some, grinding, of course, going to sign up. Because once I get that one weapon, it ups the average of my gear, and then all of a sudden I start leveling up that much quicker. It is essentially the sinker that is going to pull me closer towards that hard light level. So there's the real grind. There's what I'm vying for. But it's 120 of these soul tokens. It takes time. I've seen some people saying, well, if you can average 10 tokens per run, which is, again, about 15 to 20 minutes to complete, you get it done in about 12 runs. Several hours to do. Now, a more realistic number, a more average base, I see anywhere from 6 to 8 tokens per run. 8 is usually pretty good. So 6 to 7, that's my average. And that's just with randoms. I've not tried running with a pre-made group that was communicating. I did one pre-made group, but we weren't talking. We still did fairly well, made it to 9, but again, I'd be curious to see what an actual pre-made group could do. So you're looking at least 4-ish hours to get the rifle. And now, you don't have to sit there and do it all in one day. I certainly tried yesterday. The event runs into November, so you can keep just farming little bits, and eventually you'll get it. But if you're like me, you want to get the jump on it. And, on top of it, you need to spend those shards on getting the other Halloween masks. There are 9 to collect. Get all 9, you get a triumph, a little achievement. And you know me, I love me some Halloween, so I have to get everything Halloween related. Now, Miss Holiday, to help speed that up, will give you a daily and a weekly bounty. Daily bounties usually consist of things like get precision kills in the Haunted Forest, get assault rifle kills, get kills with this type of element, your typical, what you're used to. Now, some of the activities are pretty easy, and you can knock out, 3 or 4 in one go with a good run through the forest. Others, though, are absolute bullshit. It's like, oh yeah, go clear 5 lost sectors. That's going to take you probably an hour to do, and you only get 1 shard. However, you complete 15 of those daily bounties, and that completes your weekly bounty. You get 40. Get 40. Masks themselves are 30 to 50 each. Horror Story is 120. Now, trying to optimize my time, better myself, of course I'm going to go for the assault rifle first. Then I'll start working on the mask. I already spent the money on the Colonel. I've got that mask maxed out. Now I can start working on the second sub-spec with the Rahul mask. Truly the scariest mask in the game. After that, I can buy my third mask. And therein lies my dilemma. Do I go with super one-eyed hottie Petrovenge? Do I go with my second favorite character, maybe third favorite, Lord Shaxx? Or do I pay tribute to our space deity, the Traveler? Eventually I'm going to get them all, but what one do I want to play with first? Decisions. Beyond that, there are no real activities to do during Festival of Lost at this time. Tess is granting special engrams, which reward you with Halloween goodies for each level you get. So you not only get your typical Eververse engram, but you now get a special Halloween one with each level. It's nice. I definitely did plop some money down and bought a bunch of them. I only got one thing that I really cared about, and it was the one thing. Oh, there's two things I want out of this event. I got the kitty cat ghost. I got the little black kitty cat ghost with the whiskers and the taped on ears. He's fucking adorable. It's my new favorite ghost. Right behind, he took the place of the Segura shell, which I'm close to getting again on PC. But there's a super cool sparrow and some other things, but again, it's not up to snuff. It's not up to par. Not what I was expecting. Not what I was hoping for. But that's okay. You know, it gives me something to do every fucking day until November and into November. And I'm going to be sad when it goes. When it goes away, finally leaves us. Now, there is one more Halloween event within Destiny 2, but we don't get that until October 30th. From what I've seen, spoilers herein lie, we are investigating the death of one of the Cryptarchs, Master Ives from the Reef. Now, from the leaked data I've seen, it looks like we're going back to the Cosmodrome. We're going to find his killer, and we get a nice little dose of nostalgia from one of my favorite zones in the first game. Be super excited to go back there. So hopefully it pans out, but we won't find out until the 30th. So what other games am I playing that have Halloween events? Overwatch. I loved this game before it came out. I was determined to get it. Like, oh yeah, I'm absolutely going to play this. I played a lot of it on Xbox. Definitely during the first couple years of their Halloween event with Junkenstein's Terror. Because it was the first PvE mode that we actually had. And it was an easy way to level up, an easy way to get new Halloween costumes. Now that PC's rolled around, and the account doesn't, swap from Xbox over to PC, and I have to unlock all my shit again, I find it a chore. Now, don't get me wrong, it's fun, the atmosphere is good, but there's no iteration, there's nothing new. We have a couple new characters who aren't new to the game, but new to that mode that we can use, but it's the same story. You get 4 characters, you have your normal mode, you have your endless mode, and that's it. There are a couple Halloween maps thrown on, like Hollywood and not Chateau d'If. That's Count of Monte Cristo. Widowmaker's house has a Halloween reskin for their deathmatch. A lot of fun, but it's not really immersive. And again, it just comes back to a grind, especially since Overwatch made all the new skins, the legendaries. 3,000 gold, they used to be 1,000. On top of that, because the loot pool is so huge now, the loot box system's fucking me in the ass. I'm not getting much of anything that's good. And if I did want to buy anything good, well, I can't buy currency directly. I have to rely on the loot boxes. And because I don't have really any duplicates at this point, gold's hard to come by. So I have to start the grind all over again, and I just don't know that I have it in me. It's hard. All this complaining about video games, when really what we should be complaining about are a few key facets. You may have noticed that the show title has changed, and the cover art has changed with it, largely due to the fact that Apple's a bunch of bitches. Back in May, before we took that several-month hiatus, I had received an email from Apple saying, your podcast has been pulled. It is no longer listed within the iTunes library because we have deemed it unacceptable for the following reasons: offensive title and or offensive image. I don't recall asses being all that offensive. I thought it was a clever play on words with, the unwashed asses, the unwashed masses. But Apple didn't seem to agree. So I logged back into the account, saw that it had been in fact rejected, shoot up a quick email saying, hey, what's the deal? They're like, we don't like the name. We are too white bread here. We are too PC friendly. Even though we play host to multiple podcasts, some of which, much like yours, are marked in the mature category. They cannot have offensive words in the title, they cannot have offensive words in the cover art, and they cannot be self-censored. So if I wanted to write asses with an @ sign and dollar signs, wouldn't fly. So, angry as I was, I decided I best not lose my Apple market. Because I know there's a few that like to listen to iTunes, and you haven't been able to since May, because I'm still trying to get this fucking fixed. But I put on my big boy pants, I compromised, I said, you know what? The Unwashed Asses, despite my great aunt listening to it, I love you, Aunt Baby, I can understand it's a bit hard to swallow, and it could be the reason you turn your phone away when somebody walks by, like, oh, why are you listening to that? Oh, you like listening to shows about smelly butts? And then it can give you a show about smelly butts, they fart, everybody has a good time. So we shorten it. Just a straight up TUA. I don't have to type as much. We all know what it stands for. Change the cover art to some beautiful photography taken by yours truly in the Amsterdam Royal Palace. Jazz it up with some 90s based font. We're good to go. Resubmit it to Apple. No response. Resubmit it to Apple. No response. At this point, I do have to open up another support ticket. Say, hey, been updated. I've cranked out a few shows since then. Please take another look-see at this. That will solve one market's problem. The other market that I am currently concerned about, Spotify. How many of you would like to listen to the show on Spotify? Show of hands. Well, I'm sitting in a parking lot right now, so I can't see them, but I'm going to assume a fuckload of hands went up. Enough to tilt the earth just a slight bit. Well, I got to figure out how to do that. Because while Spotify has opened up their podcast platform, they have not opened up to SoundCloud users like myself. There's a lot of other podcast providers out there that they have opened up support to, but essentially I'm going to have to submit a ticket to them. Say, hey, pretty please, would you please throw this super awesome show on your platform? So this weekend, while out and about traveling, I think we're going to get that all taken care of. I'll keep you guys updated further. Otherwise, the other platforms, Google Play, of course, SoundCloud, Pocket Cast. I think Stitcher has us. I don't remember. You can still get us there. Of course, the YouTube. The old YouTubes. But I'm working on it, and I appreciate your patience and your support. But seriously, fuck Apple. From what I've heard with their Apple TV platform and their own streaming services, they're getting a little too light in the loafers, so to speak. They're becoming sissies, and I understand it's your platform and you want to manage it and you want to appeal to the broadest possible audience, but at this point you are nothing more than a storefront. You are not responsible for the shows themselves and what the content is that they produce. Now, that being said, if it is a podcast about white supremacy, by all means, take it down. But if it's some asshole who every other week sits in his car in a parking lot with his kids at school and just spouts off about Halloween events in video games, who gives a shit? Who gives a flying fuck? You shouldn't. And you have to accept that, oh my, swear words are a thing. Now, I get it. You don't want to say, fucking cunt-sucking motherfuckers in your show title, because, yeah, even I can admit, little too offensive. But the Unwashed Asses, it's a PC word. It's safe to say on mainstream cable TV. Like shit. Maybe the occasional damn. Don't crack down on me, Apple. You're making my life hard. Oh, man. Whew, where are we at? 29 minutes. 29 minutes. I know we got more to talk about, though. Let's pull up the old list of topics here. I know we were supposed to be talking about horror movies. I will be getting that Bride of the Frankenstein episode up here shortly. So let's see. What do we have here? Apple is a bitch. Check that one off. Alright. These robocalls, they're getting out of control. I know you've been getting them. I've been getting them. Primarily get them on my work phone. A work phone who the only people should have that number would be work colleagues. I do not hand it out to customers. It belonged to another technician beforehand, but that was several years ago. So I pretty much stemmed the tide of, oh, is Tim there? We were having a problem. We were wondering if he could stop out. Sorry. I don't know Tim. This isn't Tim's phone, and no, I cannot help you. You'll have to call into the call center and schedule an appointment just like everybody else. Instead, no. We get calls spoofing phone numbers. Typically, it's your local area code. Sometimes it might be a number you know. It's popping up as your mom, or your sister, or your best friend. Instead, it's just a robo-marketing telecall. Usually, it's the IRS, or Microsoft, or I've won a free trip, or I have to consolidate my credit card debt. You all know what they are. They suck. They've been on the rise. According to Reddit, the FCC is not doing anything about it. It's getting real bad. Now, I had made the mistake of anytime, the general rule is, and I think a lot of people follow this rule, if I don't recognize the number, I don't pick it up. If it's super important, they will leave a voicemail. If I get a voicemail and listen to it, sure enough, it's a spam caller, I will go ahead and block it. I will block that number. I will just erase it from my phone. Just like, nope, blocked, erased, done. You're out of my hair. What I didn't realize, though, is that the numbers weren't legitimate. They were being spoofed. I don't know the how and the why. I just know it really sucks. Because I probably have several dozen phone numbers now blocked in my phone that might be legitimate. And what tipped me off to this was the day that my work phone started calling itself. 3 times in one day, I got a call from a number. It would show up as voicemail. The first, thought to myself, why the hell is my voicemail calling me? What is going on here? You silly goose. Instead, my voicemail left me a voicemail. So I go to my voicemail to listen to my voicemail. And the voicemail that my voicemail left me said it was Microsoft. And that they'd been trying to contact me desperately, and there was a problem with my computer. Now those in the know that I did used to work IT many moons ago. And the bread and butter of my repairs back then was spam phone calls saying, oh yeah, we're from Microsoft, let us remote into your computer. Oh, surprise, here's some ransomware, pay us. And for that very purpose, I had set up a Linux virtual machine on my computer. 1, Linux is a completely different animal than Windows. 2, it's a virtual machine, so it keeps my other machines and my data safe. So I can let one of these fuckers in and have some fun. Years I had been waiting for a moment when they would call me, and now it had finally arrived. I sat by my phone waiting for my voicemail to call me back, knowing that I could just remote desktop into my computer, fire up the virtual machine, and then have a heyday with it. Twice more did my voicemail call me. Twice more did a robot caller greet me, but would not go through to a live person. Now, I haven't had any calls from my voicemail since then, and I'm disappointed. I'm saddened. Because much like, the proverbial, the person you fall in love with and can't stand to live without, that Microsoft scam call came into my life, flirted briefly, and then went away. Probably never to be seen again. And I'm sit here, heartbroken, asking myself what I did wrong, what I could have done differently, not knowing. But it's okay. Oh, don't set reminders. Just close that out, because we're good with that topic. We're just cranking down the list here. It's okay, though, because I'm an old man. I can sit around. I've got time. We're hitting the slow part of the season where there's not much work, not much overtime. So I have my 3 days off a week. Little lady and I, we go on long, leisurely walks. mostly because I'm a fat piece of shit who needs some form or sort of exercise. So we go on these nice long, hour-long walks. There's a nice little path by our place. Goes through the countryside. It's delightful. Except I'm old. And apparently going on extended walks hurts my back. To the point where I'll stop 2 or 3 times during the walk just to stretch out and then nearly have my back lock up while either bending down or trying to stand back up. I'm old. It's awful. And the fact that an hour-long walk fucks me up this bad, it's a bad sign. I gotta fix it. I've been saying it all year. Will I fix it? Probably not. I think I'll just get a comfier chair. Now, I think what we'll do here is we got 2 more stories. 2 more stories we're going to go through. So we're at 35 minutes. That should eat up 25 minutes of time here. Not that I'm trying to kill time, but I'm trying to gauge how much time I have left. 2 stories for you. We'll go with the sad, angry one, and then we'll end on a high note. Now, in the past, I was reluctant to talk about work, mostly because I was afraid of what might happen in my position should I say anything the company doesn't agree with. But I like to give myself plausible deniability, not tell people who I work for. I'm a cable guy, that's all you need to know. And we go from there. Because the stories are pretty much universal. They are not specific to my unique area. Now, if you know the area in which I live, there's a few different cable providers. They are not in direct competition with one another, but again, I have plausible deniability here. So that being said, part of my job entails me going to places of business or apartments. Now, they differentiate from your typical home because usually there's more than one line there. Depending on the size of the complex and what our network structure looks like, there may be 1 or multiple lines running to the building, and those 1 or 2 or possibly 4 or 8 lines feed multiple people. The idea is that each person has their own dedicated line. That way, if we have to take down service for whatever reason for troubleshooting, we don't take down other people. However, we don't always have that luxury because it'd be awkward to, especially in this area where we have houses that have since been turned into businesses, that while there may be a business on the bottom floor, there could be 2 to 4 apartments upstairs. So that being said, we can't have 4 aerial cable lines going from a pole to a house. It looks ugly. It's wrong. So there might be 1 or 2 at absolute most. What that means then is a couple of those apartments might be sharing a splitter. Usually the business gets its own dedicated line, but herein lies the problem where if I go out to a place with such a structure and have to do some troubleshooting because there's something seriously wrong with the line, it might involve me disconnecting an entire building until I can get it fixed. Now you might be thinking to yourself, okay, well, it's unfortunate that they're going to be without service, but clearly you're there to fix the problem. You're going to make it better, and it'll be better by the time you have left. Yeah, we're in the same boat with that. However, people don't always have that same consideration when I do, in fact, disconnect things. Now, for whatever reason, people are still under the belief that we disconnect folks, that we turn them off if they've not paid their bill. We physically cut the line. Now, if you pay your bill, there's no such worry. And if you haven't paid your bill, we don't disconnect physically anymore. They just flip a switch at the office, you're turned off, and then when you pay your bill, whoop, you're back up and running. I had it a few times when I was with a different cable provider, and I would lapse in paying my bill. They would just switch me off. I'd pay it. Within a half hour, I was back up and running. So similar concept here, except for whatever reason, folks don't seem to grasp that. We'll tell them over and over again, we don't disconnect people. If you are disconnected, usually we're doing work in the area. Again, not a hard concept. I'm here to fix something. I'm here to help you. It ties back into my overall annoyance where people, I understand your service has been out for a day or 2. I apologize for that. It stinks, but I'm here to fix it. Yelling at me does not endear you to me. In fact, it makes me want to do my job of helping you that much less. I'll still get it done because I have ethics and principles, but I'm not going to be the nicest person about it. It'll get done, but yes, ma'am, and yes, sir, it kind of goes out the window. I'm not going to say fuck you to your face, but I'll politely tell you what an asshole you are. Herein lies my problem with customers. I was at a call with another technician where we had a business that was experiencing internet problems. Internet problems can be a wide variety of things, but we had determined it was something with the line, not the equipment itself. So part of troubleshooting is we have to figure out which line is theirs. The problem with this place is that the lines were not labeled correctly. So as we're trying to figure out what the business is, we have to disconnect the building. At which point, football season is just started. This story's a little bit old. Football in northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin. In fact, pretty much most of the Midwest, or if not the entire country. It is the lifeblood of these poor, ignorant fucks who don't play Halloween events and video games religiously. It's what they live for. It's what they die for. It's the only thing they have to look forward to. So when a couple of cable assholes disconnect them in the middle of the big game on Sunday, you better believe they are going to come rushing downstairs and immediately begin cussing you out. Saying, what the fuck? It's Sunday. You turned off the game. I pay my bill. I'm an upstanding customer. What the fuck? To which we reply, yeah, I'm aware it's Sunday. I'm here working. We're having an issue with the business above which you live. They take a little bit of precedence. There's an issue with the wiring, not only feeding them, but potentially you. So to make sure you don't have further interruptions to your service and everything maintains and runs the way it should be, unfortunately, we're going to have to disconnect you for a few minutes. If you could please be patient, give me 30 seconds, we'll have you back up and running. Oh, well, I can wait 30 seconds, but I'm going to stand here like an asshole and angrily smoke a cigarette at you. Meanwhile, my wife is going to scream at you from the parking lot, get the fuck out of my house. 1, we're not in your house. 2, public property where we're at, we have easement rights. 3, go fuck yourself, you dumb bitch. We're here to help. I'm sorry we inconvenienced you, but we cannot take the time to go to each and every residence, knock on the door, say, hey, we have this situation going on. Because 1, you might not answer. 2, you might throw a big stink. And 3, it's a lot easier for me to disconnect something, have you down for 30 seconds, and then reconnect it like nothing ever happened. Now, I'd say 90% of the time we get away with it. It's not a problem. Because there are, unfortunately, instances, company policy is, if they're not the customer you're there to service, do not disconnect them. However, we sometimes find things where it is necessary to disconnect. It's unfortunate. We try to be quick about it. But when you come out screaming at us, and we're at the top of our ladder on a pole with electric buzzing over our head, and you're screaming profusely because I disconnected your internet, please be patient. Understand that I'm going to have you back up and running as quick as I can. And calling me a dumb fuck and an asshole, I can just leave it disconnected. I'll probably get in trouble, but I still have a write-up. I could take a write-up. Is it worth the write-up? No, it's not. I think very strongly about wanting to do it, but I have ethics and pride. I value my work. I take pride in what I do. So as much as I want to leave you disconnected, I won't. I'll talk the talk, but I'll back down. All I'm looking for is a little understanding. I guess the point of the story is it's now tainted the football season for me. I don't particularly care for football, but that being said, I do have fond memories of football games. Now, I won't sit down and watch a game myself. I don't root for any one team. I don't care about scores. I pay enough attention to bullshit conversation with customers and strangers, but that's about it. But again, that being said, I do have fond memories of the family getting together at the grandparents and the Bears game being on, and Grandpa cheering loudly and there being food aplenty while we play with action figures and Lego. So there are good memories. You know, it's part of why I love autumn, where you have comfy clothes and the game's on and everybody's together and having a good time. But when fuckers yell at me because I've disconnected their service, or in another example where I'm inside a home to fix internet, and I've come to learn that drunk middle-aged women are just the fucking worst. They are cunts beyond any other level. They have no equal in terms of the shit they will say to you, the way they will scream at you, and just their general obnoxiousness. Oh, he's a Viking fan! The husband has to do nothing but apologize to me. Now that being said, there's plenty of drunk guys that have yelled at me. But drunk guys I can handle. There's a sense of entitlement, though, that happens when a drunk, middle-aged white woman starts coming at you. Or you just want to slap the shit out of them, but you can't. And it's just fucking annoying. It is not just annoying, it is infuriating. It's like if any other repairman came to your home. Like, here, I'm supposed to fix your washer, or I'm going to clear out the clog for your plumbing, or I'm going to fix your electric. I was always raised to treat those people with respect. One, because they're professionals, they're on the job, but more importantly, they're there to help me. And me being an asshole does not lend them to helping me. So I don't get why people do it to me. Particularly Illinois fucks coming up to their mansions around the lakes. I'm here to fix the problem. I'm sorry you had to wait a week because you don't actually live up here and you had to be up here for us to get your service back up and running. But that's not my problem. My problem is making sure your service is working before I leave. If you have a problem, call billing. Oh, that just sets them off. They lose their shit. Oh. So glad I'm going on vacation again. Off to the Rocky Mountain High, pun intended, of Colorado. Going to a wedding. Leaving tonight on a jet plane, a red eye. So after we record Friday Night Smite, I will be a traveling man. Be nice to get away. Be nice to get away. So we have a little over 10 minutes left here. It's time we end on that high note. No pun intended this time. A little bit intended. There are no drugs. At least not in this next story. Continuing on the vein of the company, we had a company outing. We had been planning this for weeks and months, trying to find an activity that everybody could do. Aside from the annual Christmas party, we usually have a get-together in the summer. A little bit of a company appreciation. The year before, it was grilling and like lawn games. They usually take us out for the half day. Everybody meets at the office, eats a lot of food, just has a good time. This year, though, we decided, let's try one of them escape rooms. The idea being that we'll drive to the middle of the town, go to the escape room. Teams will be divided, as they are already divided, between the two shifts. Whatever team gets out of their respective escape room first is the winner. I had never been to an escape room before. From what I hear, they're a good deal of fun. So 8 of us cable professionals crammed into a room with the theme of a gangsters. The others were international spies or something. The gangsters, though, our job was to find a bottle of alcohol that had been poisoned and get out of the room within an hour. Now, escape rooms are fun, as I found out. Finding clues to solve puzzles, it's just multiple puzzles in each room, and you progress through. One puzzle will lead to another. Sometimes it takes 3 more puzzles to complete the one you're working on, but eventually you work your way through it, and they're pretty good variety, and you find out what good skill sets people have. Some people are better at some things than others. It's just how life goes, and especially how it goes in escape rooms. Now, for those in the know, I can be a gassy individual. And if I'm around people I know, I have no issues with little crop dusting, a little silent but deadly. Or if I truly have no shame that day, I will let the trumpets blare, and I will let foulness reign. And foulness was in full form that night. As we clear one escape room, we reveal a secret secondary room buried within our current room. It's essentially hidden behind like an armoire. You open up the doors and then, oh, look at this. It leads through to another room, which is really cool. Really disappointing because it took us a half hour to find it, and then we realized we had a whole nother room of puzzles to get through. Now, it was at this point that my tummy began rumbling. I had a room full of captive victims. People I've been working with for years, so I'm fairly comfortable around them. Yeah, I'll fart. I'll fart loud and proud. With no shame, I let my ass cry out. Now a few coworkers, of course, will go, oh, what the shit, man? That's not cool. The fuck's wrong with you? Until the smell hits them. Until that ripe, pungent odor that has been described by more than one person as if a dead person crawled up into my ass and then died again hits their nose. That's when the friendly fuck you turns into, what the fuck is wrong with you? Now when this happens, I have no choice, but 1, I'm not apologizing. 2, I'm reduced to tears, and my effectiveness in clearing the escape room is rendered completely moot. Now, I should mention there's no ventilation in this room. This room is the inside of another room. There's 8 men that have been in here for at least a half hour already. It's a little warm. And my gas has lasting power. Like the mustard gas and chlorine that dotted the fields during World War I. Unless there's a breeze, it's going nowhere. It just hangs there. Some of my coworkers have to leave the room. They walk out into the other room in a desperate hope for escape. Some, intent on solving the puzzles so they can leave proper, just tuck their noses into their shirts. They pull their shirts up over. Some time goes on. We're continuing to solve puzzles. When I feel that I am chambered and ready for another salvo. Round 2 hits. With a thunderous uproar. Now at this point, my coworkers well and truly know what they're in for. So the lighthearted fuck you was now, seriously? Why do you hate us so much? Why do you hate yourself? Why do you treat your body in such a way that you can produce these foul odors? Because it brings me pleasure. That's why. And seeing you gag and tear up at the sight of my stench, it brings me joy. It brings me joy. Now at this point, after the second round, I'm sitting on the floor, laughing like an insane person, tears streaming down my face. My colleagues gasping for air when we see a message flash up. Now in the escape room itself, there are TVs that show your countdown timer, and the folks monitoring the room through both video cameras and audio can send us clues if they think we need them. At this point, we get an alert on the screen saying, we left something on the table for you. Thinking it's another clue, my colleagues rush out. Instead, they find a Glade air freshener. They douse the room, so now it just smells like flowery farts. The shit particles are still wafting through the air. If it was Febreze, it might have snagged it all and just let it fall to the floor, but Glade, it's like, nope, we're going to mix in the scent of flowers with your shit.
It does some good, but not enough. I've derailed the group enough that we fail the challenge. The other team gets out before we do. And as the person working there comes in to unlock the door and let us out, it looks as though she's hit a brick wall. But being the consummate professional she is, she soldiers on, explains the puzzle that we got wrong, and before letting us out demands that we spray the room once more. So we end on a high note, and now my reputation is solidified at the company, at least this local office, for the true power that my ass wields. Oh. So if you have any stories about essentially shitting yourself, write the show, theunwashedasses@gmail.com. Again, that's theunwashedasses@gmail.com. We'll read them live on the air. Everybody loves a good farting story. No, I give myself hiccups. God damn it. And of course, if you want to support the show, keep it afloat, all we ask is head over to patreon.com/0and09. Damn it. Pitch in $1 or $2 a month. Otherwise, tell your friends, help things spread. Seriously, I don't know what you guys are doing, but listening numbers are through the roof right now. Like, we're 4 times what we were before. I don't know what I'm doing differently. If there is anything that I'm doing better, please tell me. God damn it. I want to keep doing it. But otherwise, yes, please tell your friends. And, of course, $1 a month. Patreon.com. And that'll do it for this week. Again, we'll have the Halloween special, Bride of Frankenstein, up here shortly. And, of course, catch us tonight, Friday the 19th, for some Friday Night Smite. Myself, Mezzafesto, and Sapper Woody. Otherwise, we will see you next month. God damn it.